The hard tongues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Here we go. 1 second. All right. Hey, everybody. David Plummer.
Michael Ferguson.
We own a company called Aerial Influence, where we deal with drones for enterprise purposes, so for like police, search and rescue, that sort of thing. But we also work a lot with agricultural drones, and
Yep.
we assume because you're here, that's something you're interested in as well, because we get questions from people every day about agricultural drones. So we wanted to do another one of these podcasts. We did one a while back, or we've done several of them actually.
Yeah.
But we wanted to do it today. I know you've got several things you wanted to go through, or a few things you wanted to go through.
No, just it's I jot stuff down from time to time when we get questions, same question over and over again, and I feel like I've got maybe a little bit of insight based on what we're doing, but so the time frame that we're kind of looking at to get year 137, basically, I think the FAA wants to get it in 120 days. Now, with that said, back in 2018, 2019, we got one in 87 days, 92 days. Now those were under 55. Mm-hmm. And then COVID hit.
Yeah. We
had, I think we lost one of our interim FAA people, Cho.
Oh yeah.
And then we now just recently lost another one.
Yeah.
So we're going to be getting another interim FAA administrator. Yeah. But so with that said, we had to wait 465 days to get our over 55.
This is the longest 465 days ever.
Right.
We were so eager.
But with that said, we had helped somebody else. Probably we got our petition in a year before we helped them. They've gotten their petitions already. We worked on another one, got their stuff in the beginning of this year, and they've already asked for a request for information, so that's also a good sign.
Yeah.
The other thing we're hearing too is that there could be about 400 to 600 petitions in the queue.
Holy
now,
cow.
Again, I don't think all of those are going to be written the way the FAA wants, so they're going to probably be sending them back. And say, hey, so of that 400 to 600, how many are really going to be going through? But with that said, I mean, some people think that there might be a backlog because of that, but the fact that we've been working with someone and they've already gotten a request for information, I do think it's still kind of coming along. So it's a good thing.
Yep.
Anything else? Let's see. The FAA is going to want to see a training manual.
Yeah.
Like, so how if it's my spray business, how am I going to train you as a visual observer? How am I going to train you if you're the pilot?
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. Then kind of along that same route is what do your operations look like? Mm-hmm. So, how are you going to go from you get hired to a job to going to that job, scouting the job, all that kind of stuff. So operations manual. Last thing is safety manual. So they're going to want to see all this in addition to your petition. And the last thing I've got is we were talking about, what do people get paid on a daily basis? I did talk to someone that actually hired someone with an MG1P, and he paid $1,200 for the day.
$1,200?
So sometimes it's
not bad.
Yeah, I mean sometimes it's by the day. Sometimes it might be by the job.
Yeah.
So it can obviously you can price.
And that's actually really valuable information. And if you guys are at home and you're watching this or wherever you're at, comment and let us know. At least the audio is working, so we know things are going well. But please, send us questions, comments, whatever you need. It'd just be nice to know that you're here.
Yeah.
I forget where I was going now. After
You
that.
said a lot of good information.
Oh, a lot of valuable information there, because like 400 to 600 people or petitions that are in. That means a lot of people are starting to get interested in this.
Yeah.
A lot more people than were interested in it, 3 or 4 years ago when we were sort of
Right.
starting out this whole thing. When nobody knew what to do at that point.
Right. Now we know a little bit more, but still there's just tons of people. We talk to people every day. They'll call us, we give them an answer. They call somebody else, they give them an answer. So, I mean, we think that we've got a pretty good handle on this.
Yeah,
but
we do.
there are all those, fine lines sometimes you can find in there that you have to, you have to look at.
And actually, speaking of, valuable information, hearing that he made that $1,200 is really valuable information.
Yeah.
Because how many times do we get questions on like, well, how much do I charge for this? How much do I charge for that?
Yeah.
And the reality is we're in the beginning of this industry and, nobody really knows. It's the Wild West. It's still the Wild West, even as far as we've come.
And you can, I mean, basically, you can kind of come up with a price. I mean, if it's going to be way more than what it is to do ground spraying or by plane, then people will just do that. But I don't always think that it's about getting the plane in. Sometimes it's about when can I get the plane in, or when can I get the ground sprayer in because it might be wet. So this not only gives you this kind of spraying gives you kind of flexibility, obviously it's going to be much smaller than a plane, but you can, if you're waiting a week for the plane, you could be flying the drone for a week, while you're waiting for the plane. So, but yeah, that's what I've got with the ag stuff.
Okay. Well, and we should also talk about this FAA situation just real quick. I mean, so basically, for those of you that don't know, the FAA administrator, Steve Dickinson, he resigned. It's all for personal reasons. But what we hope is that this doesn't cause any ripple effects throughout the FAA because, anytime a new person comes in to be in charge of something, they're going to make changes, and that could slow everything up. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen. But this is the second time, as you mentioned earlier, that this is...
the other one was, I think, right around the presidential election.
Okay, and that was Elaine Cho, right?
Yes,
I believe. Yeah, that's who it was.
So, but
all right.
and
well, make sure you guys keep send in a couple questions for us. We'll keep going. We wanted to go through some of the questions and comments that you guys have sent in to us on our YouTube channel over the months. We're getting closer. We're getting closer to like 7,000 viewers now on our YouTube channel, so that's
nice.
Good. Getting, hopefully get to.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for watching us all the time. First up, I wanted to do wanted to read this message from Paul Hare, I believe is how you say his last name.
Okay.
But he says, thanks so much, you guys. I love all the info and new stuff available to the ag industry. Thank you, Paul. We use the P4 RTK for weed mapping and identification zones, etc., etc. So what we had done is we had asked people, we had done a whole podcast or a video on, different ways people are using drones in different industries. Because there's always, somebody that has a certain job, all of a sudden gets a drone in their hands. They're like, oh, I could do this with it too, blah, blah, blah.
And then he's actually doing identification of weeds, and then based on he's using the RTK, not the multispectral. So maybe he is using the multispectral because it says zones. So I'm wondering if he means zones, or he's just they're able to actually see that, with just a color image.
Oh, that's
could be. That's cool.
Stefan, we're so happy to see you. You're one of our favorites. Heath West says, ag drone usage is about to explode. Look forward to receiving my equipment quote. So awesome. This is somebody, so there's his quote up there on the screen. So so that was very nice. And
actually, Heath, I think I sent that. Heath, I'll look in my stuff, but I remember reading the emails and everything. I thought I sent that out. Maybe it was in spam or something. I'll make a note.
Anyways, way to cover your butt.
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh. All right. So again, what we had done is ask people to give us different ways they're using drones. So that last one was interesting, using it for weed mapping. This one is from Tim Campbell. He says, using a thermal drone, DJI Mavic 2 Enterprise, to help find irrigation leaks. Saved a lot of downtime.
Yeah,
So,
that's cool. Yeah, we've heard quite a bit about that. The looking for those drain tiles and seeing if there's problems. It should show up pretty good.
yeah.
I mean, the temperature difference between water and the ground.
Absolutely will show
Yeah.
a difference. Yeah. So it's like we said, depending on what industry you're getting into, let me switch the camera here real quick. Depending on what industry you're getting into, it's all about using your imagination. It's about, in a lot of ways, even though most of these industries are not creative industries,
Yeah.
it's being creative with the way you're going to use that
drone
for either the current job that you have or the future job that you want to have.
Yeah, right.
So it's interesting stuff. And that Mavic 2 Enterprise,
Yeah, that's a good one.
for the money, you can't beat it. So, all right, this is from Drone Vic Apps. I don't know if I'm saying that last part right, but Drone Vic, thank you, Drone Vic. We use our M300 to find small lambs in pastures before the first mowing in the spring. A big shout out for you guys here from Denmark once more. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you. We appreciate you coming back too. We see a lot of regular, we're not like burning down the house with, people that are watching, but the ones that are watching are dedicated and they're awesome.
And nobody wants to get a lamb gummed up in their mower.
Well,
I mean, that's just a mess.
That would be very, very messy. Here we go. Bill Cooper says, "Hi guys." Here, I'll put it up on the screen. "Hi guys. I've been looking further and further into the whole process of drone spraying, I'm still stumped about how the chemical handling operations work. What do you say, Michael? Do the growers?" He then says, "Do the growers supply the chemicals on site?"
I think that it could probably be either way. I think Bill, they could have that, and then basically they could be renting, your time, expertise, and drone, and you'd be spraying their product.
He then says,
but that's a good point.
He also says, or do I need a beefy trailer that needs to carry 400 gallons of water and chemicals?
I know people are doing that. Yeah, and I do believe that there's something to be said to having that kind of like all-in-one type of jobby with, the trailer enclosed, so you've got the generator, you've got all your equipment and everything. But I guess it just depends on who you're getting the job with. If you're working for one giant farm, then maybe they're going to supply all the stuff. If you're doing a lot of different stuff, then maybe having your own stuff would definitely come in handy. But,
it's a tough question.
It's a tough question. That's a good question, and I don't know that I'm, the perfect one to answer it. But I tried.
That's our new slogan. Not the perfect ones to answer that.
Right. Well, I mean,
the
thing is, if you really think about all of this, it gets into aviation, it gets into agriculture, it gets into just business administration of hauling around all this stuff, and there's a lot to it. So
and it's an industry that is interesting because there's not a lot of industries where you have a chance to ask a question that's never been asked before.
Yeah, that's
you know
true.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There are things in this industry still that no one has thought of yet, and that are still there to be discovered. So that's part of what's really exciting. I think.
Yeah, and that's what it is really cool. But Bill, that's a great question. And hopefully down the line we'll have a better answer.
We'll have a better answer for you. Yeah, thank you very much. So this one, I think we can keep it a little more broad. Someone named David McKinnon says, "I was going to purchase a drone to service the farm sector. What type should I purchase?" So obviously that's a broad question.
Very broad.
And there are several ag drones. It depends on what you want to do. If you want to do mapping, which one do you want to use?
I'd probably say the Phantom 4 RTK. The multispectral is great too, but
lower resolution on the color side, of course.
It's lower resolution, and I feel like you need a couple other things in addition to it. You definitely need the Terra to process it, or some type of mapping software to process it. If you want to get in sooner rather than later, then maybe mapping is the way to go. Angle, because you can essentially get your 107 and you could start charging for mapping and multispectral or inspection, anything like that. And then I would definitely work into the spraying portion because not everybody is going to have a 137. It's difficult to get, and the drones are bigger. The drones are more capable.
They're also a little scarier because they're
big. Yeah. But if you're wanting to get into it, think of it kind of like that. What would be the easier way to get into something in agriculture? And it most likely be on the mapping side and not spraying right off the bat. Or maybe you can look at spreading, like seeds that are not,
Yeah. And people forget too, I mean, we sell enterprise drones obviously, but people forget you can do a lot with a consumer drone. So anything from, mapping, it may not be the highest level map or the most accurate map,
right?
But, mapping, field scouting, I mean, there are several things you can do with a consumer drone on the farm as well. So don't think, Phantom 4. I mean, the regular Phantom 4
is great.
Is a great mapping drone, especially. So don't think you've got to spend $1 million to kind of get your foot in the door,
Yeah, and I guess the Phantom 4 RTK, I mean, if you have people that need very specific and detailed and precise maps, then that probably would be the one to go with. But if you're just trying to learn stuff, then a consumer drone
could be the way to go.
Getting a mapping program for 30 days to try it out and that kind of stuff, that you'd learn a lot. A
lot. Bill Cooper is back with us, and thank you, Bill, for all your questions. This is great. He says, what are the primary reasons a grower would want a mapping drone? What would they do with it? You got perfect answers for this.
Well, so when I'm saying mapping drone, and I'm also kind of putting it all together with the spraying drone and everything. So if you just have the Phantom 4 RTK, you can essentially map out wherever you want to spray, and it will be basically as precise as if you're doing a combine and it's self-driving tractor. So you're basically saying exactly where everything is within this area because you've mapped it and everything. And from there, like if it's an orchard for one thing, or anything that has to be kind of, stop and start spray, the Phantom 4 RTK would be great because you can actually add like a dot right over the center of the crown of a tree or something. If it's a field, then maybe mapping you don't need as much. And if it's the same field, you might not need to have a mapping drone, because if you have the boundaries in like maybe a shape file or something like that, you can import that into the spraying drone. So that's how you could do mapping for planning your spraying routes. You could use mapping and multispectral for crop health. And then if you're still, if you're using DJI drones, you can actually take those zones that, okay, let's say there's 3 colors in the mapping, and one means this area is really affected, this area is not much affected, and this area is great. So let's say you want to hit the one that's really affected, and maybe that's red. You could basically take those out into a zone, make that a spraying mission, and it would just spray that area alone. And, or it could spray less on the, so there's a lot of things that you could do with mapping.
And there's new things every day that we're learning about. This last one.
Elevation too, you can get elevation.
There you go. Kostas Belivanis says, I think I probably nailed that one.
That's good.
Any idea for replacement for the Phantom 4 RTK is coming soon? And then he also says, can we use a Mavic 3 for mapping?
I can take this.
Sure.
Well, we tried the Mavic 3 that one time, so I was able to stitch something with Intera, but as soon as I touched it with clicked it on the mouse, then it would just start spinning uncontrollably. So
they're still working out the kinks as they build it into like mapping software, basically.
Right. Yeah. They just don't have an SDK, which is like a developer's package, so it can be used in drone deploy or something else. The Phantom 4 RTK, I think you could say that they're always going to be innovating, but we have 2 of these RTK units, the current ones that are out now,
Yeah.
coming to us. So as far as we know, not in the foreseeable future.
Not anytime soon. And there's been rumors for, I feel like it's been 2 years that the Phantom 4 is going to go away at some point.
Yeah.
But it's just a little engine that could.
I mean, it's a great drone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Bill Cooper says, so this is a continuation of our last thing, but as a service provider to growers and don't have the 137 yet and want to jump in, I want to be able to pitch growers on why they need it. So why he wants to be able to tell people, here's why you need this mapping drone.
Okay. So Bill, you're wanting to do the 137, or you're just wanting to get into mapping?
I don't know what we're going to get.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think mapping is very diverse. You can do a lot of different mapping. So
orthomosaics. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do with them. Yeah.
Yeah, and so for a grower, I would say elevation, so you can see if there's maybe erosion or which way the land is sloping, that kind of stuff. That might be of interest to some people.
Yeah.
And that usually gets like color coded. You can obviously get a giant view of your map.
With the Phantom 4 RTK, you can do what's it called? The metrics where you can count like stuff that's in a pile.
Oh yeah, volumetrics.
Volumetrics, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, you could do volumetric stuff. You could do measurements. You can do 3D. You can do 2D. Multispectral. I really think that could probably help the growers the best. And there's a little bit more into that because you need to be able to read that well and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's
the thing. It's very good. I mean, because it can tell you
what's wrong with your crops before
that you can
your
see
eyes
it.
can.
Yeah, or at least maybe see that there's a problem. Yeah.
Bill says he wants his 137, doesn't have it yet, but he says, but I was told the Q is over 600, which is what we've heard too. It's around 400 to 600. So that Q is building up, which is a good thing for the industry because so many more people are now getting interested in what's going on.
Yeah.
So.
But that's true. But I also, the fact that we just got a client helped them get it in the first of the year, and we've already heard back.
Yeah.
That, I mean, we didn't hear back from the FAA for over a year.
Yeah.
And
that's scary, but
right.
But a lot of that was COVID. So.
Yeah, and it completely.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think they are hiring more people to look at these.
Yeah.
But it's still going to be a process, and it's still going to probably be time. Yeah. Oh, the other thing I thought was interesting that people might find interesting. So we're helping somebody on. So like I said, that the FAA always wants to see training manual, operation manual, safety manual. Well, our operations manual and training was basically kind of put in the same document.
Yeah.
And what we help people with is kind of like template and that kind of stuff. And so it's interesting because one of our clients got back and said, "Oh, you need this manual," and then he tried to say, "Well, it's in the operations thing."
Yeah.
And they're like, "No, we need something more
separate." Yeah.
But then on our end, we get it approved.
Huh.
So
I wonder if it depends on which person.
It literally is who looks at it, when they look at it. I mean, it's all based on each separate petition.
Yeah.
They're basically looking at each petition individually.
Yeah.
And so it could be a different person that's looking at individually. And I don't know that they have a basic guideline, but
yeah, but that's it.
So that's where we're at.
Bill, one more time. He says, "Good info. Do you think the P4 multispectral would be a better entry than the RTK?" So it depends. If you're
and technically they're both RTK, but sorry, what were you?
Well, it depends on really what you're trying to do. I mean, The multispectral is diverse because it does have, along with the 5 bands, it does have a color camera on it. So
Right.
you can map with it if you wanted to,
Yeah.
but it's going to be really low resolution. It's like 3 megapixels or something like that.
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yeah, it's 3
for that camera.
megapixels, then basically times 6.
Yeah.
So it essentially equals about 20 megs. It's 20 megapixels on the Phantom 4R, and almost about 24 or 20 megapixels on the P4M.
Yeah.
But it's just 6 cameras. I feel like the RTK one is much more for planning, and I use it a lot. The multispectral, you got to think of it more as crop health and possibly hitting those affected areas.
Yeah.
And not hitting the unaffected areas.
The other thing is
they're different, Bill. So
and the P4 can be used in a bunch of different industries. So
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. Whereas the
Right.
multispectral, you're buying that for farming, like that's
Yeah.
what you're buying it for. Whereas the P4 multispectral, I mean the Phantom 4 RTK, I mean that's construction, surveying. I mean
Yeah.
any number of things you can use that Phantom 4 RTK.
Right.
So that's something to think about too. That if you're looking to branch outside of the agriculture world,
Then
maybe
maybe-
you do want to go with the Phantom 4 RTK.
Right.
So anyway, hope that gives you guys hope that gives you some good answers. And look, we're at 26 minutes. We're at our general cutoff time.
Yeah.
So hey, thank you guys for tuning in, for checking us out. We really appreciate it every week.
Yeah, thank you.
I spend a lot of time worrying about what we're going to talk about every week,
Yeah.
and somehow we end up doing it. So, so yeah, I'm going to take a break.
All right.